Greetings! Mantaray79 here, and welcome back to another deck profile video for Cardfight Vanguard Deer Days! Alrighty, let's get started. Pressing the A button now. Loading game and proceeding. Here we are in the main menu, going to edit deck menu. And now for today's video, the deck profile I'm going to be making one for is a Dark States, Thorn Dragon Tamer, Luquier, D-BT10. Okie dokie, let's get started. Selecting the deck, entering edit deck, and off we go. Here we are in the edit deck menu. Like I just mentioned before, the deck I'm building in today's deck profile video is a Dark States, Thorn Dragon Tamer, Luquier deck, made up of cards only available up until D-BT10. And affirmative, let's get started. So selecting the filter settings and going to pack, show only cards from D-BT1, Genesis of the 5 Greats, D-BT2, Rush of the Legends, D-BT3, Advance of Intertwined Stars, D-BT4, Awakening of Chakrabarti, D-BT5, Triumphant Return of Brave Heroes, Festival Collection 2021, Festival Collection 2022, Promo Pack number 1, D-BT6, Blazing Dragon Reborn, D-BT7, Raging Flame Against Emerald Storm, D-BT8, Minerva Rising, D-BT9, Dragon Tree Invasion, and D-BT10, Dragon Masquerade. Applying filter, filters apply, let's get started. First up, the Grade 3 lineup. And here we are in the Grade 3 lineup. For the Grade 3s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck, Grade 3, Thorn Dragon Tamer, Luquier. Skills, first skill, action is a Vanguard once per turn. Cost, Counterblast 1 and put a card from hand into soul. If the cost and paid, choose up to 3 units with different grades from your soul, call them to rear guard, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, those called units gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. Second skill, auto as a Vanguard. At the end of your turn, cost, put 2 rear guards into soul. If the cost and paid, draw a card. So for Luquier, she's the main grade 3 to ride in this deck. Her skill is the first skill. By paying the cost, you get the superior called 3 different grades from your soul to the rear guard, giving you the chance to fill out your field information to prepare for your upcoming attacks against your opponents. And if the secondary condition of this first skill is met, you can also give all those called units plus 5,000 power, giving you more power to work with. Any second skill, at the end of your turn, by paying the cost, not only do you get to build up your soul for later soul blasting and to also stock up your soul for Luquier's skill for next turn, but you can also draw more cards to restock your hand with. Alrighty, the Grade 3, Thorn Dragon Tamer, Luquier. We have 4 in the deck, 1 in the right deck, 3 in the main deck. Next up, the Grade 3, Normal Order, Hurry and Join Loyal Servants. Skill, Order. This card can be played from the soul and play this with a cost of Counterblast 1 if you have a Vanguard of Luquier in its card name. If the cost and paid, choose one of your rear guards and it gets auto as a rear guard. When your Vanguard attacks, cost, put this unit into your soul. If the cost and paid, choose a card with only Pale Moon for its clan and grade less than or equals your Vanguard from your soul, call to rear guard until end of turn. So for Hurry and Join Loyal Servants, a support card for the Luquier deck with skill. When played, you can give one of your rear guards a skill, which is when the conditions of the skill are met and you pay the cost, you can switch out one of your rear guards for a Pale Moon unit from your soul, giving you another attacker or booster or a rear guard whose skill you wish to take advantage of later in the turn. And okie dokie, the Grade 3, Hurry and Join Loyal Servants. We have 4 in the deck. Up next, the Grade 3, Circulate Acrobat, Ursa J. Skill, auto. When this unit is placed on rear guard from soul by the ability of your Vanguard of Luquier in its card name, cost, Soul Blast 1. If the cost and paid, countercharge 1. So for Ursa, a support card for the Luquier deck with skill, when called from soul by Luquier, by paying the cost, you can refund your counterblast for later skills. Affirmative, the Grade 3, Ursilji, we have 3 in the deck. And then the Grade 3, Normal Order, Gradia Gradel. Skills, first skill, continuous, Reckless Piece. You may only have 1 Reckless Piece in your deck and use it a total of 1 time in a fight. Second skill, Order. Plays if you have a Grade 3 Vanguard Persona Ride, and if you do not ride this turn, activate Persona Ride, draw a card, all of your units gets plus 10,000 power this turn, and you are regarded to have Persona Road. So for Gradia Gradel, a powerful order card to play in any deck in the D standard format, with skill, the second skill, when the conditions of the skill are met and you play this card, you can activate the Persona Ride effect, which is drawing more cards to restock your hand with, giving your entire front row, Vanguard and Rearguard a huge boost of power, and any skills that require you to have Persona Road that turn, this order card can substitute for that effect. And confirm the grade 3 Gradia Gradel. We have 1 in the deck. And of that, we just about covered the deck's grade 3 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's grade 2 lineup. And now for the grade 2 lineup. For the grade 2s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck Grade 2, Silver Thorn Marionette Lillian. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is rolled upon by a unit with only Pale Moon for its clan, Soul Charge 1. And choose a card from Soul, put it into your hand. Second skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the Rearguard circle or put on the Guardian circle, if you have a Vanguard Luquier in its card name, this unit gets plus 5,000 power and plus 5,000 shield until end of turn. So for Lillian, she's the main grade 2 to ride in this deck. Her skill is the first skill. When ridden on top of by a Pale Moon, not only do you get to build up your soul for later soul blasting, but you can also take any card from your soul to add back to your hand to help in your later game strategy. Second skill, when called to the rear guard or when used to guard with, when the conditions of the skill are met, you can turn Lillian into a potential 15,000 point attacker for your front row or a 10,000 point shield on her own. Alrighty, the grade 2 Silver Thorn Marionette Lillian. We have 1 in the right deck. Next up, the grade 2 Silver Thorn Rising Dragon. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, cost, put a card from hand into soul. If the cost is paid, draw a card. Second skill, continuous as a rearguard. During your turn, if you have a Vanguard Luquier in its card name, and if 2 or more of your units were placed on rearguard from soul this turn, this unit gets plus 10,000 power. If 4 or more were placed, it gets plus 10,000 power. So for Rising Dragon, a support card for the Luquier deck with skills, the first skill. When called to the rear guard by paying the cost, not only do you get to build up your soul for later soul blasting or to secure cards into your soul to make use of for Luquier's skill, but you can also draw more cards to restock your hand with. Second skill, when the conditions of the second skill are met, you can turn your Rising Dragon into a potential 20,000 to 30,000 point attacker for your front row. And okie dokie, the grade 2 Silver Thorn Rising Dragon. We have 4 in the deck. Up next, the grade 2 Black Sky Thunder Quaking Queen Lamenia. Skills, first skill, auto. When this card is discarded from hand during your ride phase, cost Soul Blast 1 and put this card into the bottom of the deck. If the cost is paid, draw a card. Second skill, auto. When this unit is placed on rear guard from hand, if your Persona rolled this turn, cost Counterblast 1. If the cost is paid, choose a card from Soul, call to rear guard. If you called a card, Soul Charge 1. So for Lamenia, a pretty good grade 2 to play in your Dark States Nation decks with its skills. The first skill, when discarded for a right deck cost, by paying the cost, not only do you get to draw more cards to restock your hand with, but the cost for this first skill can also more or less slightly restock the remaining cards in your deck, thus delaying the possibility of a deck out. And the second skill, when called from hand to the rear guard while the conditions of the skill are met and you pay the cost, you can superior call a card from your soul to the rear guard to serve as a potential front row attacker or back row booster or a rear guard whose skill you wish to take advantage of later in the game. And then after calling, you can also soul charge to build up your soul for later soul blasting. And affirmative, the grade 2 Black Sky Thunder Quaking Queen Lamenia. We have 3 in the deck. And next, the grade 2 Servant Falcrazia. Skills, first skill, auto as a rear guard. When this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, choose up to 1 Dark States from your drop, put this unit into your, and this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of battle. For each grade of that card, put that chosen card into soul. Second skill, auto as a rear guard. At the end of your turn, if you have a grade 4 or greater Vanguard, cost, put this unit into your soul. If the cost is paid, draw a card. So for Falcrazia, she's a pretty good grade 2 to play in your Dark States Nation decks with her skills. The first skill, when attacking a grade 3, you can then take any card from your drop zone, which is the Dark States Nation, and then you can not only put that card into your soul to build up your soul for later soul blasting, but you can also give your Falcrazia plus 5,000 power for every grade in that card, thus making this first skill a good way to not only build up your soul for later soul blasting, secure specific cards in your soul to make use of for Luquier's skill, but you can also turn your Falcrazia into a powerful front row attacker to make it easier to pressure finish off your opponent with. And the second skill, at the end of the turn, if the conditions of the second skill are met, not only do you get to build up your soul for later soul blasting, you can also draw more cards to restock your hand with. And alright, the grade 2 Servant Falcrazia, we have 3 in the deck. And with that, we just about covered the deck's grade 2 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's grade 1 lineup. And here we are, the grade 1 lineup. For the grade 1s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck Grade 1, Sylvan Thorn Assistant Irina. Skills, first skill, Auto. When this unit is rolled upon by a unit with Pale Moon for its clan, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, put into your soul, and shuffle your deck. Second skill, Auto. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard of Luquier in its card name, you may soul charge 1. So for Irina, it's a support card for the Luquier deck and the main great one to ride this deck. Its skills, the first skill. When written on top of by a Pale Moon, you have the chance to check the top cards of your deck for a card to put into your soul, to build up your soul for later soul blasting, or to make use of in Luquier's skill. Second skill. When called to the rearguard, while the conditions of the skill are met, you may soul charge more cards to build up your soul for later soul blasting. And alright, the great one, Sylvan Thorn Assistant Irina, we have 1 in the right deck. Next up, the great one, Recusal Hate Dragon, Sentinel, Perfect Guard. Skills, first skill, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards of Continuous Sentinel deck. Second skill, Auto. When this unit is put in the Guardian Circle, choose one of your units, and it cannot be hit until end of battle. If your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from hand and discard it. So for Recusal Hate, it's a Perfect Guard for the Dark States Nation. Like any other Perfect Guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when used to guard with, discard a card from hand, you can block an enemy attack. But it also features an ability unique to all Perfect Guards in the D standard format, which is, when used to guard with, while you have less than 2 cards in hand, you will not have to pay the usual discard 1 cost, making Recusal Hate Dragon a potential no-cost Perfect Guard in desperate last resort situations. Okie dokie, the great one, Recusal Hate Dragon, we have 3 in the deck. Up next, the great one, Blitz Order, Elementary Sanctitude. Skills, first skills, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards of Continuous Sentinel deck. Second skill, Continuous. You may only have 1 Elementary Sanctitude in the deck. Third skill, Order. If your opponent's Vanguard has triple drive, this ability can be played without paying the cost. Place with a cost of, discard a card from hand if your Vanguard is grade 3 or less. If the cost is paid, choose one of your units, and it cannot be hit until end of battle. Remove this card. So for Elementary Sanctitude, it's the Blitz Order version of the Perfect Guard. Like any other Perfect Guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when played, discard a card from hand, you can block an enemy attack. But ideally, Elementary Sanctitude works best against opponents who play decks that specialize in having a Vanguard of triple drive. For example, grade 4s, G units, or Vanguards who have their drive checks increased by skill or card effect. Against such opponents, Elementary Sanctitude then can serve as a potential no-cost Perfect Guard. And affirmative, the great one, Elementary Sanctitude, we have 1 in the deck. And next up, the great one, Valkate Performer. Skill, Auto as a rear guard. When this unit boosts, choose up to 1 card from drop, and if your soul does not have a card of the same grade as that card, put into your soul. So for Valkate Performer, it's a pretty good great one to play in the Dark States Nation decks. With its skill, when boosting, you can take a card from your drop, and if the conditions of the skill are met, you can place it into your soul to build up your soul for later soul blasting. And confirm, the great one, Valkate Performer, we have 2 in a deck. And next, the great one, Sylvan Thorn Breathing Dragon. Skill, Auto. When this unit is placed on the back row rear guard, if from your soul, if you have a Vanguard of Luquier in its card name, cost, Soul Blast 1. If the cost is paid, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets Skill, Continuous as a Vanguard. All of your front row rear guards gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So for Breathing Dragon, a support card for the Luquier deck with skill, when called to the back row rear guard from the soul, while the conditions of the skill are met and you pay the cost, you can give your Vanguard a skill that empowers your front row rear guards, making it easier to pressure or finish off your opponent. And alrighty, the great one, Silver Thorn Breathing Dragon, we have 3 in the deck. And of that, we just about covered the deck's grade 1 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's grade 0 lineup. And now for the grade 0 lineup. For the grade 0s of this deck we are playing, right deck, grade 0, Sylvan Thorn Assistant, Ionia. Skill, Auto. When this unit is rolled upon, if you went second, draw a card. So for Ionia, the starting unit of its deck, like any other starting unit in the D standard format, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when written on top of, if you're the second to go in the game, you get to draw a card. Alright, the grade 0, Sylvan Thorn Assistant, Ionia, we have 1 in the right deck. And of that, we just about covered the deck's grade 0 lineup. Next, let's get on to the trigger lineup. And now for the trigger lineup. For the triggers of this deck we are playing, grade 0, Hades Dragon DD for Sentiment, Damage Held, Over Trigger, Skill, Trigger, Additional Effect. you get during your turn. All of your Vanguards get plus 10,000 power and plus 1 critical until end of fight. So for Damage Health, it's the Overtrigger for the Dark States Nation. Like any other Overtrigger in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when revealed during a drive check or damage check, you get 100 million power and draw 1 card. But it also features an ability unique to it alone, which is, when revealed during a drive check on your turn, for the remainder of the fight during your turn, your Vanguard gets a boost of plus 10,000 power and plus 1 critical. So for Damage Health, it's an Overtrigger that's best revealed earlier in the game on the drive check on your turn. For the moment you drive check this card on your turn, for the rest of that fight, you can have an easier time pressuring or finishing off your opponent by having a continuous plus 10,000 power and plus 1 critical for that whole fight. And already, the Grade 0 Hades Dragon DD Resentment Damage Health Overtrigger, we have 1 in the deck. Up next, the Grade 0 Lively Breath Dragon Critical Trigger, we have 3 in the deck. Next, the Grade 0 Stem Deviate Dragon Critical Trigger, Skill, Auto as a rear guard. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted. Cost, put this unit into your soul. If the cost is paid, choose one of your units, and it gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. So for Stem Deviate, a powerful critical trigger to play in your Dark States Nations decks. With skill, after boosting, regardless if the attack hits or not, as long as you don't mind moving Stem Deviate from your rear guard to your soul, not only do you get to build up your soul for later soul blasting, but you can also give the remaining attackers in your field, Vanguard rear guard, a little extra power to work with. Okie dokie, the Grade 0 Stem Deviate Dragon Critical Trigger, we have 4 in the deck. Up next, the Grade 0 Roos Wild Master Riley Draw Trigger. Skill, continuous as a guardian. If your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, this unit gets plus 5,000 shield. So for Riley, a powerful draw trigger to play in your Dark States Nation decks. Your skill, when used to guard with, while the conditions of the skill are met, you can turn Riley into a potential 10,000 point shield all on your own. Affirmative, the Grade 0 Roos Wild Master Riley Draw Trigger, we have 4 in the deck. Next up, the Grade 0 Incorruptible Holy Light Euphia Heal Trigger. Skill, Auto. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle, if your opponent's attacking unit has attacked 2 or more times this turn, this unit gets plus 15,000 shield until end of battle. Active if this battle is second attack this turn or more. So for Euphia, a powerful heal trigger to play in your Dark States Nation decks of her skill. When used to guard with, while the conditions of her skill are met, Euphia then can serve as a potential 25,000 point shield on her own. Ideally, Euphia is a counter heal, best played against opponents who play decks that specialize in restanding and attacking multiple times their units, either their Vanguard or rear guard. And affirmative, the Grade 0 Incorruptible Holy Light Euphia Heal Trigger, we have 2 in the deck. And next, the Grade 0 Brilliant Floral Eugenia Heal Trigger. Skill, Auto. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle, if the attacking unit's critical is 2 or greater, and its critical is increased by a non-trigger effect ability, or its original critical is 2 or greater, this unit gets plus 15,000 shield until end of battle. So for Eugenia, a powerful heal trigger to play in your Dark States Nation decks of her skill. When used to guard with, while the conditions of the skill are met, Eugenia then can serve as a potential 25,000 point shield on her own. Ideally, Eugenia is a counter heal, best played against opponents who play decks that specialize in increasing their attacking unit's critical, Vanguard or rear guard by skill or card effect. Confirm, the Grade 0 Brilliant Floral Eugenia Heal Trigger, we have 2 in a deck. And of that, we just about covered the deck's trigger lineup. And with that, the deck's been built, card effects explained. For the cards in this deck, we are playing 4 Grade 3 Sylvan Thorn Dragon Tamer Luquier. 4 Grade 3 Hurry and Join Loyal Servants. 3 Grade 3 Circulate Acrobat Ursuji. 1 Grade 3 Gradia Gradel. 4 Grade 2 Sylvan Thorn Rising Dragon. 1 Grade 2 Sylvan Thorn Marionette Lillian. 3 Grade 2 Black Sky Thunder Quaking Queen Laminia. 3 Grade 2 Servant Valcrasia. 3 Grade 1 Recusal Hate Dragon. 1 Grade 1 Elementaria Sanctitude. 2 Grade 1 Falcate Performer. 3 Grade 1 Sylvan Thorn Breathing Dragon. 1 Grade 1 Sylvan Thorn Assistant Irina. 1 Grade 0 Sylvan Thorn Assistant Eolia starting unit. And for the triggers in this deck, we are playing 1 Grade 0 Hades Dragon DD Resentment Gamma Held Overtrigger. 7 Critical triggers. 4 Draw triggers. 4 Heal triggers. And with that, the deck's been built, Cardfight is explained. Let's get on to testing out the deck. And here we are in the main menu, going to test out the deck. So going over to the fight menu, and then selecting CPU fight. Choosing the deck I just showcased to you, the Dark States. Silver Thorn, Dragon Tamer, Luquier, D-Booster 10 deck. And okie dokie, selecting the deck. Choosing my opponent. For the opponent, I'm gonna test the dial on. I think I'm gonna use it against. How about... I guess I'll use it against... Zakusa Ishigami, normal difficulty, and click. The battle begins. Let's get started. And here we are in the fight. We're gonna decide who goes first. So, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Scissors. I do second. Let's draw starting hands. I got, let's see, an order card, a rising dragon, critical trigger, Falcrazia, and a performer. Not a bad starting hand. Holding on to all normal units and trick order cards. Just redrawing the triggers. Redraw. Yes, perfect card. A great redraw. My opponent goes first, he rides the Great One, Rutus, and searching his deck for the order card, overcoming the eternity, and adding it to hand, and end of his turn, my turn. I draw. I ride from the right deck, Silver Thorn Assistant Irina. Right deck cost, discarding the order card, Hurry and Joy, Loyal Servants. Discard and ride, Irina. Skill of starting unit, Enolia, I draw one card, and draw. Critical trigger. Fine, I'm gonna call to the back row. Falcate Performer, call. Now to the battle phase. Boosted by Falcate. Irina attacks the Vanguard, 16k. Skill of Falcate. Search my deck, my drop zone for a card that's not the same grade as in my soul, and add it to the soul. I add the grade 3, Hurry and Joy, and Loyal Servants into soul. The attack goes through. Drive check. Yes, critical trigger. All affects the Vanguard. All in and critical up and power up. 2 damage to the opponent and slash. Damage check. Yes, critical trigger. He wasted a trigger. Critical wasted and power wasted. Then the second check. No trigger. Grade 2. That's the end of my turn. My opponent's turn. My opponent rides the Grade 2, Cardinal Lord Cubizia. He calls the rear guard, Die. The Vanguard Cubizia attacks my Vanguard Irina, 10k to 8k. No guard, can I take it? 1 damage and check. No trigger, Tech Tien, so 1 damage to me, here it comes. Out, damage check. No trigger, Gradle, not a Persona Ride card, come on. Die the Vanguard, no guard, can I take it? Out! Damage check! No trigger! Falcrazia, not another good card! End of my opponent's turn, my turn. Stand and draw! I ride from the right deck, Silver Thorn, Marionette, Lillian. Right deck cost, I am discarding Circular Acrobat, Ursuji. For the right deck cost, ride, Lillian. Skill of Irina. I get to check the top cards of my deck to put into the soul. Let's go! Check the top 7 and... not a bad draw. I am going to add to my soul the Great One, Silver Thorn, Breathing Dragon into soul. Next, I call the rear guards, Rising Dragon. Not activating skill and calling Falcrazia. Call. That ought to be enough. And let's get started. Going to the battle phase. First, Falcrazia attacks the rear guard. Die. The attack goes through, and boom! 1 less rear guard to worry about. Next, My Rising Dragon attacks the Vanguard. 10k. The attack goes through. And slash. 1 damage. Damage check. Ah, critical trigger. Lucky him. Critical up and power up. That's gonna be rough for me, so boosted by Valkyrie Performer. Lillian attacks the Vanguard. 18k. 1 trigger to pass. Valkyrie skill, but I have in my soul grade 0, 1, and 3. I only have a grade 3 in drop zone. Cannot add to soul. Drive check. Yes! Critical trigger. Lucky! All effects to Vanguard. The attack goes through. 2 damage to opponent. Critical up and power up. Here we go. And slash. Damage check. Draw trigger. Ah, lucky him. He draws a card, powers up, and second check. No trigger. Perfect guard. 1 less card to worry about. End of my turn. My opponent's turn. He rides the grade 2, Cardinal Dominus Orpheus Regis. Skill of Regis. He deploys the set order, Overcoming the Eternity, Tech 10 skill, searches deck for another Overcoming an Eternity and adding it to his hand. He deploys another Overcoming an Eternity from hand to order zone. 2 in the order zone, and Abyssal Dark Knight activated. He calls to the rear guard, Plasthesia and Cadula. Cadula skill. He soul charges 2 cards, an order card and die. Vanguard skill. He retires a rear guard and calls a Shadow Army token. Overcoming an Eternity skill, adding power to the called Shadow Army. Another 5,000 power to Shadow Army. He calls to the rear guard, Rayozia skill. He reveals Hollowing Moonlit Night, adding to hand, and to battle phase, 13k to Vanguard. Let me see, 13k from Plasthesia, 13k from Vanguard, not counting its skills and triggers, and 33k from Rayozia, not counting triggers, so I think I'm gonna block the first attack, let the Vanguard and the remaining rear guard go through, we'll see how it goes. Guarding with, draw trigger, guard, 15k, 18k, just enough, block, and ka-chink, safe. Next here comes Rayozia to Vanguard, 33k, no guard, gonna take it, 1 damage, and out, damage check, no trigger, no, Luquier, not another Persona right out the deck. The Vanguard, Orpheus Regis against my grade 2 Lillian. Skill, Superior calls 1 Shadow Army token, it powers up, power Vanguard as well. Skill of Overcoming an Eternity, it adds power to the rear guard, and again, adding more power. This is gonna be rough. 25k, 18k, and should I perfect guard or block it? There's a chance you can get a trigger and give it to Shadow Army. I'm only at 3 damage. I guess I'll save my guards for the upcoming attack. No guard, gonna take it. Twin Drive, first check. Critical trigger, lucky him. Critical the Vanguard and power the Shadow Army. This is really not good for me. Second check. Draw trigger, double trigger, come on. Power to the rear guard, that's 2 damage to me. Orpheus Regis slices on Lillian. Ow. Damage check first. No trigger. And second check. No triggers. Here comes Shadow Army, 45k. Perfect guard lift. Recuse Hate Dragon, perfect guard cost. I am discarding a critical trigger for the perfect guard cost. And the perfect guard activated. Ka-chink, safe. And then my opponent's turn, my turn. Stand and draw. Oh, come on, not another trigger. You gotta be kidding me. Fine, I ride from my right deck, Silver Thorn, Dragon Tamer, Luquier, discarding Stem Deviate, and ride, Luquier. Skill of Lillian. Soul Charge, come on, not another critical. Why are my triggers leaving all of a sudden? Then I choose 1 card to add to my hand. I am adding to my hand Stem Deviate Dragon. Skill of Luquier. I get to counter blast 1. Counter blast and put a card from hand into soul. I put Stem Deviate into soul. Superior call as up to each grade from my drops, from my soul to the rear guard. I called, let's see, grade 1, Breathing Dragon, and the grade 0, Ionia. Call and call. Hold on, call and call. Yep, that should be enough. Call. Powering up, and then here comes Breathing Dragon skill. Soul Blast 1. Soul Blast. Vanguard gets a skill, all front or rear guards plus 5,000 power. Then from the soul, I activate the order card, Hurry and Join Loyal Servants. Counter Blast 1. Give a rear guard a skill, I give it to Breathing Dragon. I mean the rear guard Rising Dragon. Sorry about that. That ought to be enough. On to the battle phase. First, Rising Dragon unboosted attacks the Vanguard, 25k. Guarding with a critical trigger, 28k, the attack is blocked. Now boosted by Falcate Performer, Luquier attacks the Vanguard. First, I activate the skill of Falcate, take a card whose grade is not in my soul to add from the drop zone. I move Ursuji from the drop zone into soul. Next, Rising Dragon skill, provided by the order card. It goes to the soul, and a superior call from the soul. I call a Rising Dragon back to the rear guard. Call. Not activating its skill. Power up. Double guard. 33k. 38k. 2 to pass. First check. No trigger. And second check. Come on. No triggers. You gotta be kidding me. The attack fails. And now, let's see. Here's gonna be 38k. Here's gonna be 41. So boosted by Ionia. Valcrazia attacks the Vanguard. Valcrazia's skill. I move a card from drop zone into soul. I move the order card. Hurry and Join Loyal Servants. Plus 5,000 power for each grade. Grade 3, 15k, 41k. Oh no, perfect guard. Discarding for the perfect guard cost. Order card. Eclipse Moonlight. My opponent only has 2 cards left in hand. I might be able to finish him off. Boosted by Breathing Dragon. Rising Dragon attacks the Vanguard. 38k. The attack goes through. And slash. 1 damage. Damage check. No trigger. 6 damage. I win. That was a pretty okay fight. I got to try the new cards in this deck and make them work out pretty well for me. So I got win. Attack 40,000 more power. Perfect guarded. Won within 6 turns. Did a superior call. And retired 5 or more opposing units. I got 1950 BP. Total 328,225 BP. Pressing A to go next, leaving fight, returning to fight menu. Here we are in the fight menu, leaving fight menu, going back to the main menu. Back to the main menu, on to edit deck menu. With that, the deck's been built, card effects explained, and I just finished testing the deck out in front of you. So first I want to say is, thank you to the viewers for watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. I also hope you all show support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my videos and channel. And with that I say, goodbye and see you all.